Hi everyone, Jackie here with Enjoying Life's Journey, and welcome back to another What's Working Wednesday and our new topic for the month of Makeover March. And what you can look forward to on Wednesday here are our money makeover. And basically, I am not a professional accountant or finance advisor or anything like that. These are just going to be my personal opinions and my interpretation of some of the things that I'm learning about my own money makeover. And today's topic, I wanted to just jump in and go over Dave Ramsey's money makeover, or his 7 baby steps. And if you're not familiar with Dave Ramsey, you can check him out at daveramsey.com. And I'm actually going to bring you up to his website here. Alright, so here we are at daveramsey.com, and if you Google Dave Ramsey, his website will actually, come up in the Google search, and then underneath there he has some other areas of it, and my daughter is going to be making noise in the background, so sorry. So basically, though, we want to look for the 7 baby steps, and that's what is going to give us an idea right here about the 7 baby steps. So if you come down on his site, it tells you what each step is, and then you can click on it to learn more. I actually ended up finding out about Dave Ramsey about a year and a half ago, and I don't know exactly how I found out about him. I might have just been Googling things because my husband and I was getting ready to close the dance studio, and I just thought, man, our finances are not in order. We really need to do something. So I ended up coming across his website, and I came across his zero balance budget. So if you're not familiar with what that is, I did make a video on that, so I'll leave that in the description box and you can take a look. He also recommends, before starting his 7 baby steps, that one, you start making that zero balance budget if you're not, which is basically to tell your money where it's at and to also monitor where it's going and where you could possibly cut back on to start coming up with extra money to start your 7 baby steps. And then he also recommends that you make sure you are current on all your bills before starting the 7 steps as well. One thing I did find very helpful on YouTube was actually, if you type in Dave Ramsey's Money Makeover audiobook, there's a ton of people that have posted his audiobook, and the one up here, the very first one, says watch. That's the one that I watched. It's about 3 hours and 45 minutes long, and he goes over not only what the baby steps are, but he breaks a lot of those financial myths. And so really his idea of a money makeover is to oh my god. His idea of a money makeover is to completely change the way you think about money, and becoming debt-free and growing your wealth and all of that. It's a really great audiobook to listen to kind of get you really in the mindset. And there may be some things that you disagree with. And a lot of times people have, when it comes to finances and money, it's really hard for them to discuss it. It has a very emotional, it's a very emotional topic to them. And so you may hear some of the stuff that Dave Ramsey says, and you may take offense to it, which is totally normal. And then you may have some aha moments and realize, yeah, you know what, that's actually how it should be. So I really recommend listening to this audiobook. I will leave a link to this one in the description box, but feel free to YouTube search for Dave Ramsey's Money Makeover audiobook and find your own. But we'll head back to his site right now. And I just want to go over, I'm just going to go over real briefly what the baby steps are. And then next week, I'm going to go in a little more detail and let you know how I'm using them and where we are actually at as a family. So the first step, baby step number 1, is to have $1,000 to start an emergency fund. So this is not your end-all emergency fund. It's just to start it. And basically, Dave Ramsey says that he started before he would just start trying to do people paying off their debt. But he realized little things like the car or something like that might need work, and so $1,000 was sufficient enough to kind of get you started for those small emergencies. And then so from there, you want to get, first step, get $1,000 started for an emergency fund. And he also goes over in the audiobook a little bit more detail of how you can kind of come up with that extra money. if it's not something that's easy for you to come up with. Baby step number 2 is to pay off all your debt using this debt snowball. And so the idea of the debt snowball is you make a list of all your debt, no matter how big, how small, what the interest rate is, and you make the list in order of your smallest balance down to your biggest balance, and you don't worry about the interest rate because you focus on that smallest balance first. And that could be anything. Do you owe the library money? Do you owe your family money on top of obviously your car and your credit cards and all of that stuff? And you make a list starting with the smallest balance first. And this way you can pay off that first one, and it gives you that satisfaction and that instant gratification, so to speak, where you can feel motivated to keep going with your debt. And that's why he says it's kind of like a debt snowball, because once you get going, you get that momentum, it's gonna go from there. Again, he goes over a little more in the audiobook. Baby step 3. Now here's where you're going to finish off your emergency fund. And this is an emergency fund. This isn't starting to save for anything. It's not saving for a couch. It's not saving for college. It's not saving for retirement. It's an emergency fund. If you lose your job, a more drastic emergency. And he recommends that you save 3 to 6 months of expenses. And realistically, I mean, 3 months is probably what most people can get to in a faster period of time, but I would recommend doing 6 months. The more money you have saved for a rainy day, the better off you are. Then baby step 4. Now this is where you're going to actually start investing your money for retirement. And he says to invest about 15% of your household income. He recommends that you start with your employer, whatever they match. Say they match 4%, invest 4% in your 401k, and then the remainder of that, up to 15%, start investing it in Roth IRAs, and he also mentions mutual funds. So kind of goes into more detail there. So again, if you want to know more detail, log onto the site, read through each description, listen to the audiobook, and he'll go into a lot more, and he goes into those myth busting scenarios, which are really good. Baby step 5, this is where you're going to start a college fund for your children. Now he mentions that college is not a guarantee for a career, it's not a guarantee for anything, so he looks at it more of a luxury versus a need. We will not be doing a college fund, so to speak. We will be doing a fund for our children, but we're not going to say it's only for this. But again, he goes over some good points about how to get that started. Baby step 6 is to now start paying off your home early. We are renting right now, so we don't really have a home, but at that point we'd probably start saving for our down payment, or to try to pay as much cash as we can. Who knows? We'll see. But again, he goes over some myths about being able to do that and why it is actually better to pay off your home than to keep a mortgage. And then the last step, baby step 7, is to continue to build your wealth and start giving back. So these are some really great baby steps. Again, everyone has their own opinion. Some people agree with Dave Ramsey. Some people use part of these steps. He really recommends, though, that you start in order and you go. Don't jump around or you're going to end up failing at it. If you worry about paying off debt first and you don't have an emergency fund, an emergency happens, then you have to stop paying off debt. Or say you're only worried about getting the 6 months of expenses saved, and in the meantime you're not paying off any other debt, and you're still kind of in that same boat, so to speak. So I would love to hear from you guys. If you are on the journey of becoming debt-free, let me know. If you follow Dave Ramsey or anyone else, or what you're doing, please let me know in the comments, and join me next Wednesday, and I'm going to go over where we are at in our baby steps from Dave Ramsey's Money Makeover. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.